The soundtrack to 2020. Welcome everybody to a video of Two's Company, Three's a Podcast, Newcastle's #1 film, TV and gaming podcast. My name is Dylan and as always with my co-host
Mitchell, and that's right, it is time to wrap up 2020. We are in our bestest outfits,
yes,
and it is time to celebrate our DTCR Does the Cinema year and event. Now, we have no structure for this whatsoever, so we're going to bust through all of the films that we have seen. Should we, one last time, click that button and sing along?
Oh, yes, we shall.
It is DTC. We are breaking down every single Does the Cinema that we have seen.
That's correct. So, one final one for 2020 and moving on to 2021.
Perhaps a fancy one, shall we?
That's correct. Let's do it. Yes.
Coming at you fresh and coming from afar, it's 2C3 Pod, DTCR Does the Cinema. I don't know why I added that, but that is correct, ladies and gentlemen. It is time for 2C3 Pod, DTCR Does the Cinema End of Year Extravaganza.
That's right.
Now, we are going to run through all of the films that we have seen for the year, and just, we're not going to do a countdown or a best of or a worst of. We're just going to run them down and say, would we watch it again?
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Essentially. Would we watch it again? Was it a piece of shit? And maybe we'll have a brief discussion as to what the reasoning will be.
Absolutely.
Now, let's start at the top of the list, shall we? With the first film that came out this year was The Gentleman.
The Gentleman is now out, I believe, on Amazon here in Australia.
Yes,
starring
absolutely.
Matthew McConaughey, Colin Farrell. What's his name from Bridget Jones's Diary?
Oh,
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant, of course.
It's been a while.
Raymond.
Raymond, yeah.
Stuck in our heads.
I've been meaning to watch this movie again because straight out of the gate, first film of 2020 I saw on the 4th of January was fucking superb. This movie is magnificent.
Absolutely. It was bonkers good. Exactly what you expect out of a Guy Ritchie film with the cast and the story. It's a brilliant film. So if you have Amazon, do yourself a favor, check it out. If you don't have Amazon, what the fuck are you doing?
That's right.
But anyway, all right, running down to the next one, of course, I had Spies in Disguise.
Okay,
now, the kid-friendly film with Tom Holland and Will Smith. I'm not watching it again. Even though I've seen it 3 fucking times since, not by choice. Anyway, moving down, I had Playing with Fire that came out the year before with John Cena. It's fucking fantastic. I have watched it again with the children. Worth every second. Just going to say that.
Very good.
The next one, the big one. 1917.
The one that I almost had to convince you to go see because you're not usually a fan of war films.
That is
this
correct.
One looked unique and it was the big blockbuster of that weekend.
100%.
I was expecting it, as you would have heard in our review of it, to be a bit of a wanky cinematic sort of feeling to it. Yeah. But the film absolutely works on every single level.
Sam Mendes, if I'm not mistaken, was the filmmaker.
I have no idea. But anyway, what an absolutely magnificent take on a war film. Very unique style of filmmaking. Fucking superb. Absolutely well done.
If you're a fan of war films, you've already seen this film. If you're not or you haven't, do yourself a favor. I'm not a fan of war films. I am now because of this film.
That's right.
Absolutely beautiful.
And there has been other war films this year. There was I can't think of the other ones.
There was like The Outpost with Orlando Bloom, and there was like Clint.
There was one with Tom Hanks as well, and then there was another one with Woody Harrelson.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
haven't seen any of them, but anyway, 1917. I would most definitely watch it again.
100%. One of the best films of the year.
Absolutely.
Then we had Underwater as well.
Yes, Underwater.
In January.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that's more of an honourable mention for me because that was a surprise hit.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that was just at the almost at the beginning,
Yeah.
where people started to slack off with going to the cinema, but it was a surprise hit because it was a unique experience.
That's right.
People expected a fairly stock standard action film. It turned out to be almost like a love letter to Alien.
No, that's exactly right.
Kristen
That's right.
Stewart's.
I was going to say, Kay Stew fucking like acted her heart out. Like she was fantastic, and she definitely came to the scene this year.
Absolutely.
Like she's been coming to the scene for a while, but since she's definitely brushed out of the same mold as R. Pats with Twilight, just completely become their own actor. So
absolutely,
Underwater, worth a look. Absolutely. After that, The Grudge.
The Grudge. I didn't see The Grudge.
Oh, sorry. Well, it's shit. Don't even worry about it. John Cho disappointed. I'm so disappointed in you. All right, out of that, Color Out of Space.
Yes,
the very next week. Started off February on the right foot.
Yes, absolutely. So the beginning of 2020 was sort of a hit and miss. It started out great. And balance out a little bit there.
Yeah.
But A Color Out of Space is a H.P. Lovecraft adaptation starring Nicolas Cage about a literal color that comes out of space and just fucks shit up.
No, absolutely.
And it's magnificent.
And this was right when COVID started to hit and the cinemas started to wind down and people started to not going out. And I'm still going to take a little bit of credit, like I got this to Glendale because I was inboxing them saying, "Is it coming?" And they're like, "Oh, we're not sure yet." And then I'm like, "Come on, is it coming?" And then it came, and I'm so glad it did. Absolutely love Color Out of Space. Nick Cage has had a renaissance like of recent times, and I'm not going to complain about that at all.
Absolutely.
After that, we finally had Sonic make his appearance.
Sonic the Hedgehog, yes. And I'm so glad that film actually succeeded as the best and most successful video game adaptation film of all time, surpassing Detective Pikachu.
From the previous year.
Which was just as good, but I personally enjoyed Sonic more, and Sonic the Hedgehog is a film that I will watch again.
Yeah.
Not a huge Sonic fan, I definitely love my video games, but Sonic's not one that I grew up with.
I have rented this one personally another 2 times since then because the kids love it. Yeah,
oh, yeah, of course.
Well, the kids love it, but I don't mind sitting there and watching it at all.
Yeah, so absolutely. I would certainly watch it again for sure.
Very excited for the sequel, no doubt.
Absolutely.
After that, Fantasy Island.
I would not watch that film again.
Sorry, Blumhouse. Missed the boat with that one.
Sorry, dude.
Yep. Guns Akimbo after that, man.
Well, actually, I've got one just before Guns Akimbo. Yep. The Invisible Man.
Oh, okay. That was next on mine.
On your list?
Oh, that's right. Because I went to Guns Akimbo for a one-off preview screening, and then it got it to release the following week. All right. So, Invisible Man. We'll jump on that.
Invisible Man. Yes, absolutely. I have bought it, and I have watched it several times.
Absolutely. And I still need to borrow that for the special features. Yes. But Lee Winnell done did good. Elizabeth Moth. One of 2C3 Pod's favourite. Absolutely love that film. Fantastic. Can't wait to see what Universal and the Monsters do moving forward.
I was about to mention. Yes, absolutely. A great start to what they're going to do in the future.
Absolutely.
And then Guns Akimbo, of course, filmed right here in New Zealand. Daniel Radcliffe is littered with video game paraphernalia, especially right before Doom Eternal. It was littered with it. All the references, Samara Weaving as the antagonist, sort of.
Adding to our lust for her. We absolutely adore Samara Weaving on the podcast, and this just no exception at all. Fantastic film. Check it out if you're into that type of thing.
Absolutely. Just don't Google what the director has said, because he's a dickhead. But Guns Akimbo was a magnificent film.
That's right, exactly. But this is one that I think you saw later when it came to On Demand, but I went to the cinemas and saw Bloodshot. And I want my money back.
I tried to watch that a few weeks ago, and I got halfway through, and it sucks.
Exactly, that's right. And that came out on the 12th of March, and that was the last film that I saw in cinemas before COVID.
Yes.
COVID hit, and then we had a few classics that we got to see when the cinemas came booting back up. We got to see Ghostbusters.
Yes, we did.
And then Predator, of course, and then you also saw Alien. I got to see Alien and
Predator. Yes.
And of course, we don't need to talk about those ones because they're classics. We got to see them on the big screen.
Absolutely, for sure. Like, I had them on my list, but they were not really counted. But they were just magnificent experiences.
Exactly, it was a good way to warm back up to the cinema as well. Seeing a classic that we've seen on the small screen for so long, and we weren't even alive when they came out. Yeah, get to see them on the big screen. Absolutely love it.
Absolutely.
All right, then the first new release that we had after that was King of Staten Island.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
No, you didn't? Oh, unfortunately. It's good. Okay,
I've been meaning to watch it because we did talk about it, but I'm not sure what happened that week. But I got to see Peninsula. Unhinged.
Unhinged?
Wait,
I was going to say The Vigil. There we go. The Vigil, a surprise indie horror flick that pleased.
Yeah, absolutely. It's based off the Jewish
exactly.
story, essentially. I'm not really sure what the demons are or whatever, but The Vigil basically tells the story of a man who has to look after a dead body overnight and basically deal with the demons that come along with that body.
Exactly.
And surprisingly enjoyable film. Although it's definitely under the radar, you won't see this one on shelves anywhere realistically, but it is a good film, and I urge you to check out. I think I'm going to give this one an honourable mention. I don't think I'll watch it again anytime soon, but one day it might just pique my interest.
No, I completely agree with that. All I'm going to say is it was worth it for the climactic scene. I hadn't seen a scene like that in a while, and it delivered. Unhinged now. Rusty Crowe coming back to the big screen as the huge cinematic entry, spammed all over TV with the ads saying in cinemas now, coming soon, and all that.
That's all we had.
And it was a film. It was. I still enjoyed it. I thought he did a good job playing a fucking fat dude.
Okay. A lot of people that I am friends with on social media, like across the world, are saying that was their movie of the year.
Okay, no.
Now, that's a bit rich. In saying that, I have another film which is similar in the way of the type of film that it is.
Yeah, no. But they're very different.
Which, I know. They are very different, but I'll get to that later. But course. Unhinged, I will never watch that movie again.
Yeah, see, I think I could chuck it on as a guilty pleasure just to kind of go, you dumbass. Angry prick. But anyway, Unhinged, Rusty Crowe, it's fun in my eyes. Peninsula, now foreign film. Now, what is Peninsula?
Peninsula is the sequel to Train to Busan, and I believe that we got this one kind of late because it was already out for a while, but we needed something in cinemas. So
essentially,
we sat down and we watched Train to Busan just before it, and we reviewed that on our podcast, and then it was because of Peninsula was being on at the cinemas, we decided to go see them sort of side by side.
No, exactly. We'd been looking for a reason to see Train to Busan.
That's right. And Train to Busan, I would watch 1,000 times.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Peninsula, I'll never watch it again.
Yeah, no, exactly. It's one of those sequels that, why?
It was Fast and Furious /
Exactly.
I don't know, like a tidal wave of zombies. It was crap.
That was unfortunate because Train to Busan was so fantastic. They didn't need to go that bombastic.
No way.
Exactly. All right. After that, Force of Nature.
Yeah, no, I'll never watch that movie ever again.
Mel Gibson, Emil Hirsch. Nah, not worth it. Don't even. Straight to DVD in the cinema. Nah.
Not happening.
Speaking of Low Down Dirty Criminals.
Low Down Dirty Criminals, which it could have been good. It had so much potential being in New Zealand production as well. Listen, it didn't hit the mark in a lot of ways. There was a lot of convoluted story plot points. Yeah. And as we've mentioned in reference on our podcast several times, there's a really out of place grotesque scene, which in any other horror film you would watch with a straight face.
You say any other. This wasn't horror. Like, that's the problem.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
I know.
In any horror film,
exactly.
you would watch violence in that context and be okay with it. But because it was in the middle of this, I thought
crime comedy.
I expected it to be comedy, but it was more of a crime film.
Yeah.
There was a random moment of violence in the middle where I kind of had to. I was eating my popcorn in the mood for something different.
If we were watching Saw, you'd sit there and go, okay, But we were there watching crime. Yeah, no.
We won't watch that again.
No,
in saying that, the next big one on the list is the one that tried to revive cinema in 2020.
Exactly. It was the guinea pig to see whether or not a big film could succeed in the current climate, and that was Christopher Nolan's Tenet.
Yes. I will never watch that film again.
No.
Reason being, listen, it has its problems. You can't understand the dialogue because it's not edited well, and the story, fucking whatever. Listen, I get Christopher Nolan is trying to tell unique, interesting stories.
And he does.
And he absolutely does. And I'm a fan of his work, but I think this one just went a little bit too off the rails with too adventurous with his ideas, and I'm just not interested in Tenet anymore. The more I think about it,
no, that's right, exactly. It's not going to have the same stigma as an Inception from 10 years ago, where that still gets talked about to the day. That gets 10-year anniversary screenings. This isn't going to happen for Tenet. Tenet was serviceable for what it was, but I think in the current climate and the time frame of its release, it's just a unfortunate fall by the wayside, and it's another film going to the guts.
It's another Inception, but we've already got Inception.
Exactly, that's right. We don't need another one, kind of thing. But Christopher Nolan's still one of the best filmmakers that ever has been.
Yes, just change your editor.
After that, I got the chance to see Trolls World Tour with my kids. Yeah, absolutely loved it.
Okay,
lived up to the
hype. I love the first one. I haven't seen the second one.
You need to go and see it, man. It's exactly what you expect, and
I'm sure it'll come on demand somewhere.
Just for a couple of witty one-liners as well. It's fantastic. After that, we got to see The New Mutants.
The New Mutants finally came out.
After 24 years, I think we're waiting.
24, 26, yes.
Exactly.
However long it was the last entry in the Marvel / Sony X-Men universe.
Yeah.
Even though it was completely disconnected because it is owned by Disney now, and they kind of just went, you know what, fuck it, have it.
Yeah, exactly.
It finally came out.
Thank you.
Listen, there were some passable moments, and Anya Taylor-Joy is fucking phenomenal in it, like she does. She chooses a scene in everything she's in. She's fantastic in it, but overall, as a film, I'm never watching it again.
No, that's fair. I probably won't either, purely because it's an X-Men film, and I'm not a huge fan of that series. But I still had a good time as a non-X-Men fan. I enjoyed it. Yeah, serviceable. Fair enough. All right. After that, we got to see Bill and Ted Face the Music.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And that is on one of my top 10 lists because I really enjoyed it. Although the ending, the very, very ending, the ending credits, it was. I talked about this in our review. It ruined the whole thing for me. It was weird and out of place. But the film as a whole, it's dumb, it's fun, it does exactly what the previous ones do. It's aiming to be dumb and fun, and I liked it for what it is. So I'd rate Bill and Ted. I'll see it again.
And if you see the review, you'll see that I hated it.
Yeah,
I did not like it one bit. But moving forward from that, we got to see I think this is the first one from a streaming service overseas exclusive that we don't have access to.
Yep.
Come to cinemas because of the lack of content, was An American Pickle.
An American Pickle. Seth Rogen is a man living in the early 18th or 19th century.
Exactly 100 years later, so it would have been 1920, I believe, 1919.
1919, yes it was, where he falls into a pickle brine and then wakes up 100 years later and the science is perfectly explained. What a magnificent scene in a magnificent film. Yeah. Absolutely. There are some moments plot-wise where I'll be like, I wish it didn't really take that kind of tone, but overall the film is fantastic. I really enjoyed it, and I will definitely be watching this again.
No, absolutely. It was fantastic, and I'm glad we got to see a HBO Max film on the big screen, and it was worthy of big screen potential. Absolutely. All right, after that, I had the privilege of seeing Cats and Dogs 3, Paws Unite.
Oh, yes. Tell me all about it.
I don't want to because it was shit. Yes. All right, after that, Antebellum.
Yes, well, before that, I got to see After We Collided.
That's correct, of course.
The young teen romantic drama / comedy film sequel to the film After. pleasantly surprised. The only reason I saw this is my wife wanted to. So I was like, you know what? That's fair.
Simple as that.
After all the movies I've seen, let's go see one she wants.
And you enjoyed it.
I enjoyed the fuck out of it.
That's all that matters.
I went home and watched the first one, and those film series, there might be a third on the way, I'm not sure, but look out for it. I really enjoyed it.
I'm sure they've got another reason to fight and fuck, I'm sure.
That's all they do.
Exactly, that's right. All right, after that, Antebellum was the next one we saw together.
Antebellum is we talk about movies that have a bit of a mindfuck, like Tenet. Antebellum is the one to see this year.
Absolutely. It's a mindfuck, but one that you can actually understand.
That's right.
And at the end, it's very satisfying.
Yes, absolutely. But the cuts between like the early 18th century, whatever it was, during the time where American history, when slavery was popular, I guess you would call it.
Not so much popular, it was just a way of life.
A way of life,
for the terrible white people.
For terrible white dudes in general. And then, obviously, there's these really strange cuts to the modern day, and then it loops together, and you find out the big reveal, and it was very hard-hitting, very realistic, and it makes you realise how much of a piece of shit you can be.
Oh, absolutely.
And if you think that way, you are a piece of shit. But Antebellum as a film was fucking magnificent. I will definitely be watching this again.
Yeah, bingo, bango. Antebellum, fantastic.
Yeah.
I had the privilege with my kids to see AstroKid.
Oh, privilege.
No. Anyway, we also got to see Bloody Hell.
Bloody Hell. Now, that, as you said in this or last episode, whatever it was.
I think it was last YouTube review.
YouTube review, that it was an Australian/American production about a dude who's backpacking?
No. Remember, he was he was the focus of a bank robbery. And he was a hero, but then got sent to prison, came out, and everyone's like, hey, it's that dude. So he's like, fuck this, and went to Finland.
That's right, because all signs led to Finland.
It's an Australian-American production about an Australian dude, but he's actually American in the film, and he goes to Finland.
Bit confusing.
But it's Australian.
That's right. But overall, he fights his way out of this Finnish family, and he gets with the girl, and it's a fun time all around. It's stylistic, it's violent, it's funny, it's a great time. Bloody Hell is definitely a good one to look out for.
No, absolutely. Look out for it on on-demand service. Now, the next week, we both didn't see the same one, I believe.
Okay.
But I saw Savage.
I did not see Savage, but you couldn't talk about it highly enough.
Exactly. Savage is a Kiwi production, and done did right.
That means New Zealand for our...
Yes, sorry, that's right. It's a New Zealand production, and like we just discussed...
Kiwi birds can make films? No, you dumb American.
But, as we just discussed, Bloody Hell had just like set the Australian film bar pretty high, and then all of a sudden Savage came in as a Kiwi New Zealand production, and it is stellar. One that I really want you to sit down and watch, because Savage is fucking phenomenal. Excellent. I can't talk that up enough. Fantastic about gangs in New Zealand. It's nuts.
Absolutely. So good. I got to see the latest Liam Neeson action old man film, Honest Thief, which is absolutely serviceable.
Okay, exactly. I love that.
I will not. There's another one on the way.
Yes,
I can't
The
remember what it's
Marksman.
called. Yes, and it's going to be the same thing, and I will not watch it.
No.
And I'm sick of them, so I will not watch it ever again. So next.
Absolutely love that. After that, we got to see The Empty Man.
The Empty Man is a surprise opening hit. The Empty Man, it's based...
explain that.
It's based on a Boom Comics series,
Yes.
I believe it was, about an ancient evil spirit, essentially, that possesses people throughout history, I guess. But the opening scene is absolutely magnificent, following a group of people that are like on a big hike across a mountain. They get stuck in like the wilderness in a snowstorm, and there's this lingering presence that sort of possesses one of their friends. And that opening scene, it goes for like 20 minutes.
It's nutty.
It makes you think that's the film, and if that was the film, I would be hooked. But then it cuts to the modern day and how this being, this entity is interplaying within this circle of friends, and how there's this weird cult, and it kind of just goes off the rails a bit.
I was going to say, when the cult comes in, that's when the story just takes a left turn hard, and it just loses any momentum it had. But like you said, that opening scene, watch the first 20 minutes. When it pops up and says The Empty Man, just turn it off.
Just turn it off.
It was fantastic. Greatest film of the year. No, but that opening scene, fantastic. But the rest of it, it's okay.
Honestly, I think
I'm not going to watch it again.
I'm going to give this an honourable mention and say I will watch it again, just to try and understand more of the film.
Okay.
It's not the kind of one where you go, yes, I want to watch it again to pick it to pieces. It's more like, do I think that was correct?
Yeah, I remember in our review we discussed it, and like you were a bit confused, and I was trying to explain it, and I'm like, I don't even know. But but Empty Man, it's okay. But the next one, I'm definitely watching again as soon as I can. Freaky.
Freaky was fantastic, but I've got one just before that.
Oh, my apologies.
On my list, The Craft Legacy.
Oh, okay, that was on mine after this.
Okay,
so which one are we talking about first?
We'll talk about the Freaky because you mentioned it first.
Yeah,
Freaky, starring Vince Vaughn and what's her name?
The other chick.
The other chick.
Yeah.
They swap bodies. Freaky Friday situation. That film was originally supposed to be called Freaky Friday the 13th.
Yeah,
but obviously
legal reasons
can't happen. But in saying that, the word freaky doesn't fit with the film at all.
No.
But it's a fun movie. It's an absolute riot, and everybody had fun making this film. You can tell. Yeah. And I will be buying that one. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Seeing Vince Vaughn and the chick who can't be named right now.
Oh, yeah. I feel so disrespectful not knowing
No,
this.
exactly. And we mean no disrespect by it, but it's just been a long year, as you can tell.
And a lot of movies.
Exactly. That's right. But Freaky, it's fantastic. Vince Vaughn had such a good time playing
Catherine
that role.
Newton.
Catherine Newton, of course. Our apologies, Catherine. We know you're watching. Thank you for sticking around.
Absolutely.
Both of them look like they had so much fun playing the polar opposite roles. Yep. And it was done so well. And there's a lot of cliches in there, but they feed into the cliches, and that's what makes a good horror movie. And for me, Freaky, nail on the head.
Absolutely.
Now, The Craft Legacy.
The Craft Legacy being an all of a sudden out of the blue kind of reboot sequel to the original The Craft film from the early 80s, mid 80s, late early 90s?
No, mid 90s. 96, I believe The Craft was.
But yeah, a film that I haven't seen but has gone down as a cult classic. You know, it wasn't so popular in its inception, but over time it's granted that cult status. Blumhouse decided to do a reboot, a soft reboot / sequel, which I found serviceable and enjoyable in itself.
Yes.
I don't think I'll ever really watch this again, but not out of negativity. I didn't. It's not because I didn't like this film. I did. I really enjoyed this. I just felt that the ending, the third act of the film was a bit lackluster with its conclusion. But everybody seemed to do their role. I think it was good, but I don't think I'll watch it again.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That makes sense. I have seen the first one. I enjoyed the first one. I'm not going to watch this again unless I end up watching The Craft and want to watch it straight afterwards.
Yeah.
Exactly. Other than that, serviceable for what it was, but Blumhouse missed the boat that time.
Absolutely.
Anyway, the next one.
The next one is
the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
Yes.
Potentially.
Fat Man. Fat Man starring Mel Gibson and... What's his name?
Walton Goggins.
Walton Goggins, off the top of my head. Mel Gibson essentially plays Santa Claus in a realistic world where he exists, kids. And
it's true.
Essentially, the business of Santa is to generate revenue throughout the year and stimulate the economy by existing and making these presents. Anyway, it's set in the real world where a kid receives a lump of coal and puts a hit out on Santa Claus. And then the rest of the film deals with that, as well as like a military deal that Santa Claus has to go into to pay the bills.
Exactly. Signing contracts and shit, just keep food on the table.
It's action-packed, it's drama-filled, it's hilarious in the most straightforward way, and it's heart-wrenching. There's some real emotional moments.
And satisfying fucking ending as well. But as a Christmas film, I haven't seen one like this, and I'm definitely going to watch this again next year.
I will absolutely watch this every year until I die. I fucking love this movie.
That's exactly right. Now, I know I've got one in here that you didn't get the chance to see, but it was Possessor.
I didn't get to see Possessor.
Yes, Brandon Cronenberg film, son of David Cronenberg. It's a mind-boggling film, but it's definitely worth a watch. If you know anything about a Cronenberg film, it's exactly what you would expect. It is a mindfuck. You need to watch it. Everyone else needs to watch it. It's fucking great.
Excellent.
After that, we got to see Happiest Season.
Happiest Season is it's another one that's a surprise hit because of course it's going to be good.
Exactly.
But it's good. Like it was better than you expected.
No, exactly. Like, you had high hopes and they delivered in some.
That's exactly right. As we said in our review only a few short weeks ago, is that it presented itself as like a Christmas comedy. You know, centered around like a family drama, but it's more drama driven by Kirsten Stewart and her involvement with this particular family, and it was absolutely magnificent. I loved everything about this film.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more, and it's definitely going on the Christmas list to watch again.
Absolutely. Just like Fat Man, I'll be watching it every year.
No doubt. Absolutely. I got to see Words on Bathroom Walls as well. Surprisingly incredible, like, teenage drama romance story about a kid with schizophrenia. Seriously, if you're into like teenage dramas and like, you know, The Notebooks and like Nicholas Sparks type films, watch this film. It's fantastic. It actually made me cry in the cinema.
Yeah, well, that's not hard.
Fuck you. But no, I absolutely love that film. Go and check that out.
Excellent.
I've got one more on my list. Do you have one more on yours?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we just did a recent review about it, so we won't harp on too long, but mine was the greatest fucking Australian movie I have ever seen, called The Dry. It was a preview screening, actually came out 2021 New Year's Day, but I'm including it because it wiped everything else off. It was fantastic. The Dry was the best possible way I could have ended the year. If you have access to The Dry, the new Australian film, go and watch it. It is my movie of the year.
Excellent. When the last film that I got to see on the 28th of December was the latest superhero and almost the only superhero film released this year.
That's right.
Looking back, is Wonder Woman 1984. And although I've said in my review, which you can check out in the links wherever they may be on this page, I liked it.
Yeah.
I will watch this again, and I will buy this to continue my collection of DC films.
Of course.
Superhero films. But although it has its problems, I really enjoyed it. But that's been our entire list of films that we've seen this year. And in retrospect, it's not a bad year.
No, exactly. I think the best part about this year was the fact that we got films that we wouldn't have gotten.
Yeah, you know, we wouldn't have seen.
Exactly, that's right. We got some films that went straight to DVD, would normally go straight to DVD or on demand, and a lot of them, understand why.
Yes.
But there are a lot of films, and in particular locally with Bloody Hell, Savage, and The Dry, those types of films that we may not have gotten if there was Batman, and if there was like all of those big ones, James Bond and with
Black Widow and
exactly, that's right. They may not have found screen time except for maybe an odd screening here or there in the big city. So because of what's happened in the world, obviously we would prefer none of what's going on in the world to happen. But at the same time, a little bit of a blessing in the fact that we got to see some unique films.
That's right.
And it has been a decent year.
This year has very much balanced out as well between the good and the bad. More good than bad by the looks of it.
Of course, yeah.
But in terms of ending this film after our mini reviews of every film that we've watched this year, the highlight of 2020 for me, I'm not going to go through like my top 5. My absolute favorite movie of the year out of all of these, it has to be Fat Man.
Wow.
Mel Gibson and Walton Goggins. Fat Man. I fucking love this film. We've got some great movies this year, but Fat Man was the one I was grinning ear to ear, start to finish. It reeled me in. It was definitely my top pick this year.
Absolutely. And I understand that being your cup of tea. Well, a little bit of Australian flair with both of our picks, with The Dry, the Australian film, and then Mel fucking Gibson coming through. Wait, did you say Force of Nature? Force of Nature was his favourite Mel Gibson film of the year. No, exactly. Avoid that one like the fucking plague. But anyway, it has been the strangest year in cinema history. We have seen little indie horror films over in America be #1 at the box office for weeks in a row because by default they only had drive-ins going. And it's just been, we've seen so many scheduling conflicts, but hopefully 2021, we might get the year that we thought 2020 might be.
That's right. Definitely looking forward to the year in cinema that will be 2021, providing that everything is released that was scheduled. And I'm hoping that production companies are just going to decide to just put them out regardless. Because here in Australia, depending on where you are, we can go to the movies right now.
At this stage right now, Newcastle's still, doing well. So hopefully that continues. But otherwise, we hope you had a happy and safe end to your 2020. And hopefully 2020 brings you guys new, fresh luck and rejuvenation. And the world can get back to normal. And we can all go back to the cinema soon.
That's right. But not only that, you can also join us live on our podcast. And you can be a part of the podcast now because we are more than just a podcast. How many times can I say podcast? We are a live interactive show. We are a live interactive show now on twitch.tv/2C3pod. Links are all down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the like button as well, but also leave a comment down below. What was your favorite movie or least favorite movie of 2020, and what are you looking forward to in 2021?
No, that's exactly right. Now, as you said, links are all down below. Make sure to check out the social medias as well, Facebook and Instagram at 2C3pod. Do all that jazz, and we cannot wait to find you over at twitch.tv/2C3pod.
Absolutely. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Dylan, and as always with my co-host
Mitchell. And do not forget, we are Two's Company, and you are the podcast. Woo! Yes, blazes are hot.
It's very hot.
I forgot.